Hey, it's Matt Bennett with a grain marketing update here on October the 7th. I am in the cab. We had a little shower this morning, so I'm waiting. Actually, to be honest with you, I could probably start right in here at 10:30 Central Time for me. We're getting along really well. I mean, we finished soybeans last week and turned around and got back into corn, and it's just been one of these deals where, other than this morning, we've been able to start early every day, and we've been able to work later in the evening. Of course, if we're not going in the bin, we're at the mercy of the grain elevator. So once they shut down, we fill everything and go home. But yields have been pretty good overall. Our light ground on soybeans ran 20 to 25 under. Actually, some of our black ground, of course, those were May planted versus April planted, and we kind of expected something like that to be the case. Uh, what are you going to do, though? We had our rainfall shut off July 25th. Didn't really have anything until last week on most of the farms that we operate on. Now, it's been very interesting to me as we got back into corn this past week. We actually picked 17, 18.5% corn once we got started back, and that was around home for me, just north of the town that we live closest to, and planted all that corn the same week. Okay, we planted some 6478, 6492, excellent corn, but it was really interesting in that it was running a little moisture. And then we moved south of town, and we did have one shower around home. I mean, just a small shower in August. I'm going to say it was around 4/10, maybe close to a half inch. That's the only place we got any rain in that whole period, 7 or 8 weeks. And so we got south of town and we started picking the same corn, and it was dry as a bone. I'm talking 13, 14%, and it even had a couple loads under 13. So, 4 points difference. And I think the only thing that was different, because fungicide was the same, planting dates were within a day. No doubt there was a lot of differences as far as moisture is concerned. And then, we moved to our last couple of farms that we're on. I mean, we're going to be done Saturday. If this weather holds, we'll be finished on Saturday, which would just be incredible. But it's been a very fast pace. So you look at the markets, what's going on with the markets? Pretty quiet, actually. Last week I had a little bit of enthusiasm. After we did the podcast last week, President Trump came out and said, hey, we know soybean farmers are frustrated. We know that profit margins aren't good, and that the Chinese are essentially not buying, in his words, not buying soybeans due to what's going on the tariff front. And so, the other thing he said, though, that got the market excited, in my opinion, is he said, whenever I meet with you could call him president, whatever, but President Xi, I think, is the official term that we should use from China. When they're meeting here at the end of the month, the focus of the conversation is supposed to be soybeans. And I think that gave a little bit of life to the bean market. So the bean market actually closed higher on the week last week, whereas corn closed just a little bit lower. If you look at this thing, though, you still got a little bit of buying coming in. I mean, bean market's up just a little bit here on Tuesday. Corn's deader than a doornail. There's no question that you've got harvest pressure in a lot of places. Now, there are some areas that have had rain over the last few days. I mean, not everyone has had this breakneck speed that we've had in our part of the world. My part of the world, of course, there's going to be a lot of people done in the next week to 10 days. But you get north and south of us, anywhere that they've had a little bit of moisture, and certainly it slowed things down somewhat. And what that's done, especially in the farther you get into North and South Dakota, Minnesota, in some of those areas, you've actually seen basis get a little bit better. So, as a grower, if I'm sitting here trying to figure out what to do, I've got to be watching out for these things, first of all. Second of all, getting some offers in place. And so, I'm not saying that I don't think the bean market can rally a whole lot. I mean, I've changed my tune a little bit as far as yields concerned. It just seems like there's a lot of impressive yields as people are getting into soybean harvest in some of the areas where they actually had a little more rainfall. In our part of the world, of course, we knew bean yields were going to be off of normal, but I think these things are probably going to even out. The big question mark is, what are we going to see as far as the moisture content drawing down national yield discussion? It's something we had last year in the Western Corn Belt, certainly in the Eastern Corn Belt. I'd say Missouri, southern half of Iowa, into a big chunk of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. You're probably going to see moisture on a lot of these beans dry enough that it's going to be less dry matter that you're hauling to town. And so it could pull down that yield discussion. But bottom line, if I'm trying to get rid of beans here, I got to have offers in, because someone may surprise you and take you up. I've seen basis narrow up 15, 20, 25 cents in some areas over the last 24 to 48 hours. So I would certainly be watching for that very closely. Last thing I want to talk about, and we're going to keep talking about this, but the acreage discussion gets really interesting for 26. If I'm looking at the acreage deal, President Trump said they were going to give money to the growers because they've been hurt by the trade negotiations, tariffs, you name it, with China. They said that money would be skewed heavily towards soybeans. And so, with that being the case, typically, whenever you get some sort of aid package, MFP, call it what you want, that we've had over the last few years, that seems to get growers more excited to plant corn if they've got a little extra money in their pocket. Yes, we all like to plant corn. What's very interesting, though, is that if this money is tied to soybeans, there might be people who feel like, well, if this is tied to soybeans, maybe I should go heavy soybeans. I mean, the problem is, from a profitability standpoint, there's really no everyone's basically not looking all that great. I'm going to try to be politically correct here. So uh, nothing looks great. All right, we know that. Corn, beans, wheat, cotton. There's really nothing that you can say, hey, I know I can make money here this next year, even with input costs. And so I think as we get into the acreage discussion, we got to understand there's going to be a lot of us. I say us because I'm included, that the numbers don't math very well. And so I think there will be situations where people will opt for what looks like something that they can have a better chance at being able to break even at. And so I'm still maintaining that corn acres are going to drop. But again, it's very interesting how this is playing out, especially with this additional money that's going to flow towards the grower. Should get some sort of announcement in the next few days. I know most of you don't even want it. But it's necessary. I believe in some instances, I know that it's a hot topic and it's frustrating, but I certainly think that the producer has been very much impacted by what we've seen happen here over the last several months. And so with input costs as high as what they are as well, it just makes it a really tough road to hoe for all of us. So we've got to hope better days are coming here. I do think that as you get into the acreage discussion at some point, we're going to have to take a very close look at how strong this demand is and how are we going to satisfy all this demand. And we're going to have to see corn acres not fall completely out of bed. So with that being the case, you've got to think that these 26 corn prices should be somewhat stable in here as we move forward. So I'm hoping that I'll be done before next Tuesday. If I am done by next Tuesday and we're not in the field working ground, I'll try to come from the office and give you some slides to look at. And, any questions that you have, anything that you want me to approach as I get into next week's discussion, by all means, shoot those to me, respond to me, shoot me an email, however you want to do. But thanks for joining in today and have a great week.